Okay, we're doing the numerology and the astrology for January 11th, 2021. If you add all those numbers together, you get the number 8. The number 8 is a number of grief, loss, and sadness. It's a number of deep emotions that kind of bubble up from your third chakra, usually things that have been unexpressed or unresolved. I also like to think of it as that in our chakras, like sometimes we have people that they don't move the chakras from the lower chakras all the way up. And so when you don't move energy through your third chakra, it has a tendency to jump or to leap or to jump the gap, what I always say. And so if you have energy that's coming up from your lower chakras and it's not filtered, is maybe a good word, filtered by the lower chakras, purified in its essence, allowed to come up to the heart chakra, purified by love, then if it's gapping from, your first and second chakra and it's leaping to your fourth chakra, you get this gapped rage and this spewing anger and all this kind of thing. And so I think the reason we do that is because we protect, or we're hiding, or we're stuffing so much stuff in our lower chakra, or like in our third chakra specifically. And I think it's scary for people to address their emotional issues, their unresolved sadness and things on the inside. And so what happens is the energy then twists, it distorts, it goes into these other places, and it turns into anger and rage and gapped rage and venomous communication and violent conversations and stuff like that. Okay, so here we are, we're in this number 8 day, and on a national level, sadness is washing over our souls for the terrible week that America has endured. Perhaps allowing the horror and the truth to not be deflected is exactly what we need to feel into the required deep regret for those that were in our government, that are in our government, who avoided taking action in obvious moments dangerous to our republic. Some derailed all actions to bring accountability to those had gotten out of control. It should be clear that many were unable to govern or even abide by their oaths in office, and that brings out sadness. It brings out that sadness on the inside that we put people in positions and we trust them to have honor and integrity, but it's not always the case. I mean, it's life. I mean, I don't think this is unusual. I just think it happens a lot. I think it happens a lot more than we like to believe. But when it happens in a way that is so personal and close to home, I think it affects us in a great way. So sometimes we have to do the Pema Chodron thing, and we have to sit in the misery of the truth that has been plainly visible for very long. We have to sit with the horror of our own inaction and recognize the cost of complacency. It is a terrible price to pay, but perhaps one that will allow us to grow and change quickly in our future. So I pray for the safety of our republic. I pray for the safety of our Constitution. I pray for the safety of our people. I pray for sound minds and open hearts to win in this battle. There you go. Okay, the astrology today. Jupiter aligns with Mercury, and it is time to communicate that to reach the higher goals, we have to find a way to include everyone. Do not let ideas become too radical with all this energy happening right now, because it's a little intense and it's going to get more intense. Remember, I keep saying that. Today, Chiron sextiles Jupiter and Mercury, and while this is a positive aspect in many ways, I am concerned that it can also get corrupted by those who do not have the best of intentions. May the plans being created do positive things in the world. May outcomes before the greater good. That would be really helpful. May the healing be for all hearts so that we can come back together. There will be some that take this astrological action as a resolution moment. And may again those resolutions be to bring all of us back into balance. But under this astrology, it is also best to not promise more than you can actually do and accomplish. Work towards being happy, healthy, whole, and accomplished. work towards, being kind and generous, and stretch out of old ways of thinking and become more integrative in our expressions from this point on. Those thoughts that intentionally undermine any form of progress need to be put aside. The moon aligns with Venus in Capricorn, and we are inclined to want to take care of business and get on with it. My quote for today is actually from the former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he said this in his blog that was just yesterday, I think. It is time for our country to stand by the country, not the president. God, I can get that. It is time to stand by the country, not the president. Okay, the blog. I am a fan of the refined, the subtle, the quiet things that filter into life and make that life wondrous and magical. I'm not a fan of the grotesque, the twisted deformities that evil words, thoughts, actions, and deeds manifest in our world. To me, it is a simple truth. Dark thoughts create dark deeds that lead to regret. It forms many types of cancers which eat away at souls, and these cancers have the intention to destroy the organism on which it is feasting. Dark energy is a corrupted system that destroys itself with its own toxic thought and beliefs. And what is so surprising is that those stoking racism and hate cannot see what they do. They cannot see that they are destroying themselves and their soul's positive progression. They are destroying that which has protected them and allowed them to have massive freedoms that most never actually fought for, ever, in this life. They are destroying everything that protected them for generations. A person that cannot see that the outcome they are choosing is so horrific is a person that is not remotely in their rational mind. They have been fed a soup of hate and whipped into a frenzy by a puppeteer that does not have any of their interests at heart. The human energetic toll between a pandemic and the emotional distress of such horror has the people of our country in a multitude of forms of PTSD. And I know, looking at the astrology, that we are not remotely done with this. I keep saying that. We are watching the death throes of an energy that was buried long ago. Those holding the containers of that toxic waste are finally melting, exploding, and have broken out of their hidden places. Now everyone can see the putrid, festering cancer that some have been holding for too long inside. It is tremendously sad, and it will require a massive cleanup. Some places will show the consequences of such toxicity for generations to come. We will heal, but we will never be the same again. And perhaps that is really good. Perhaps that is what is needed for Americans to come out of this place of infantile perception and distortion. Growing up is hard to do. It takes owning up to the problems, changing, and dealing with the fallout. That is what maturity is, after all. Okay, thanks everyone.